Hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mike Smithgall, the unelected mayor of Atheistville, and this is today's Mic Drop. Today we're talking about a video that says a lot about Christian nationalism, propaganda, and how religion gets weaponized to make power look sacred. Pete Hegseth, former weekend news anchor, now serving as Secretary of Defense, recently posted a video on Instagram featuring him reciting the Lord's Prayer over military imagery. It ends with a logo reading Department of War. Yes, you heard that right. Both Trump, the supposed anti-war president, and Hegseth, a former weekend TV anchor, have been calling the Department of Defense the Department of War. And whether that's official policy or just rebranding through repetition, the message is clear. We're not talking about defense anymore. Now, if you want to watch the video, go to my blog post about this on atheistville.com, where I have a companion article on this subject, including the original video. The Lord's Prayer is one of Christianity's most recognizable passages. Millions know it by heart, but in the Bible, it doesn't stand alone. It comes with instructions. So when I pick up my King James Bible and flip it to Matthew 6, with my fingers formally wrinkled with holy water, I see that Jesus says, "When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret." The message is simple. Prayer is not performance. It's meant to be private, humble, personal. Yet, in this video, the Lord's Prayer becomes spectacle. It's not worship, it's branding. The stage isn't a church or a living room. It's a government production designed to signal that America's military power is blessed by God. And here's the deeper irony. The Lord's Prayer sits inside the Sermon on the Mount, the same sermon where Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek and blessed are the peacemakers." The core teaching is peace, humility, compassion. But in Hegseth's video, the prayer is used to cloak aggression and conquest. It's ripped from its context and turned into a tool for the state. And that should make us pause, because once you strip Scripture of its meaning and use it to sanctify power, it's not devotion anymore, it's propaganda. And propaganda, dressed as prayer, that's one of the clearest markers of Christian nationalism. And I'll be honest, Hegseth and his stunning lack of qualification leaves me exasperated. It really does. But let me be clear, this channel isn't about liberalism or anti-Trump agenda. It may sound that way sometimes because, frankly, there's a lot of material right now. But that's not really the mission. This episode and this channel is about religion, atheism, and exposing the dangerous entrenchment of Christian nationalism at the highest level of American power. Whether it's wrapped up in a flag or recited in a prayer, when religion becomes a prop for the state, we need to call it out. Because this isn't about faith, it's about power. And when power borrows the language of God, the stakes get a lot higher. Christian nationalism isn't about someone's personal faith. It's about turning Christianity into a national identity and then using it to justify state power. The strategy is simple. Take familiar symbols like the cross, the Lord's Prayer, Scripture, strip them of their original meaning, and paste them into political goals. In practice, that means prayers at rallies, Bible verses in campaign ads, public displays of piety designed to signal who belongs and who doesn't. But the goal isn't devotion, it's legitimacy. When you wrap military power in prayer, you're not showing strength. You're claiming God is on your side. And that's why this video matters. It's not just Hegseth's personal faith. It's a government official using religion to bless a political agenda. And he made sure to post it on Instagram so his followers would see it as both patriotic and holy. That's not organic worship, that's branding. Theologians and historians have warned about this for decades. When faith becomes a political prop, its moral voice gets lost. Instead of challenging power, it reinforces power. Instead of calling for peace, it blesses war. Instead of teaching humility, it sanctifies dominance. And that brings us to a warning from 1930 that feels uncomfortably relevant today. In 1935, novelist Sinclair Lewis published It Can't Happen Here. It's a fictional story about an American president who uses religion and patriotism to seize power. His name is Buzz Windrop, and while the story was fiction, the patterns Lewis described feel disturbingly familiar. Lewis mocked how leaders put on fake religiosity to win support. He described Windrop's piety as being like a traveling salesman for church furniture. It wasn't spirituality, it was salesmanship. Religion wasn't practice, it was marketed. Sound familiar? He also showed how national symbols excuse almost anything. In the novel, every act of cruelty, every silencing of opposition was excused with the reminder that it was all done for the flag and for the country. And when it came to Windrop himself, Lewis didn't hold back. He called him vulgar, almost illiterate, a public liar easily detected, whose platforms were nothing more than the wings of a windmill, hollow slogans, but effective if people are desperate enough to believe them. Over time, this got distilled into a phrase that we often attribute to Lewis. When fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. Now, he never actually wrote that exact sentence, but it captures his warning perfectly. And if you look at how the cross and the flag keeps getting used as props instead of principles, you can hear that echo loud and clear. But Lewis wasn't the first one to say it. Decades earlier, labor leader Eugene Debs put it plainly. Every robber or oppressor in history has wrapped himself in a cloak of patriotism or religion, or both. All right, quick pause. I want to ask you to do two things, and then I'll give you a great resource. First, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love to have you join the community here at Atheistville. We're continuing to grow, and we're building a space for honest conversation about faith and doubt and reason. Subscribing is absolutely free, and it helps more people find these discussions, and it keeps the project going. And second, leave a comment. I read every single one, and whether we agree or disagree, I will answer you respectfully because I do value the open dialogue. And your comments really do help shape the conversation and move us in different directions. And it shows the algorithm that the community is worth recommending. And before we get back to it, if you want to read more about how authoritarianism dresses itself in patriotism and religion, check out Sinclair Lewis's book. Again, it's called It Can't Happen Here. It's written in 1935, and it imagines American president using a shallow religiosity and nationalism to consolidate power. It's not just history, it's a warning that still speaks today. I'll drop a link to the book in the show notes. All right, let's get back to it. Some people ask, why does it matter if a cabinet secretary recites a prayer on camera? Isn't that harmless? Well, the answer is no, because the symbolism is deliberate. When a government official uses prayer in official messaging, it's not endorsing private devotion. It's making a statement. This faith counts, yours doesn't. This God counts, yours doesn't. This is America's prayer. This is America's God. And by extension, this is America's war. Let me make this absolutely concrete. Right now, there are thousands of Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, and atheist service members in the U.S. military. They serve with honor. They risk their lives. And when the Secretary of Defense posts a video like this with Christian prayer, military imagery, Department of War, the message to them is clear. This isn't your military. That's not theoretical. That's exclusion in action. And it doesn't stop at the military. This kind of rhetoric reshapes what it means to be American. It says Christianity equals patriotism. If you're not Christian, you're not fully one of us. You're suspect. You're other. That excludes millions of Americans who practice different faiths or no faith at all. It rewrites the First Amendment principle of religious freedom into something much narrower, the freedom of one tradition to dominate. The Lord's Prayer was never meant to be a marching chant for armies or a badge of nationalism. It was meant to be a quiet act of humility. To use it as a soundtrack for military imagery isn't just ironic, it's a distortion. And when a cabinet secretary does this, the stakes couldn't be clearer. Christian nationalism thrives on spectacle. The best way to push back is to strip away that illusion. Nobody's saying religion should be banned from public life. Absolutely, I am not saying that. I would never say that. But we do need to call out the difference between genuine faith and propaganda. Faith, at its best, is humble, personal, grounded in compassion. Propaganda, at its worst, is loud, performative, and used to sanctify dominance. Hegseth's video blurred those lines intentionally, and Lewis warned us what would happen when that becomes the norm. Cruelty gets excused as patriotism, and authoritarianism gets disguised as tradition. Reclaiming the conversation means pointing out the contradictions. It means reminding people that the Bible calls for peace, not war. That patriotism is not obedience to the leader, and that wrapping cruelty in the flag and cross doesn't make it holy, it makes it more dangerous. If there's one takeaway, it's this: we have to stay alert. Every time religion is used to bless the state, we should ask, is this faith or is this theater? Every time a politician quotes scripture, we should ask, does this align with the teachings or is it propaganda? Those questions aren't cynical, they're responsible, because democracy and freedom depend on our ability to separate truth from performance. Pete Hegseth's Lord's Prayer video wasn't harmless. It was propaganda, staged, posted on Instagram, branded with the Department of War. It was a calculated example of Christian nationalism designed to fuse religion and state power. The Bible contradicts it. Sinclair Lewis predicted it. Eugene Debs explained the pattern. And right now, thousands of non-Christian service members are watching a cabinet secretary tell them they don't fully belong. All right, that's my 2 cents. Unblessed, unfiltered, agree or disagree. That's what I got for you. But at the end of the day, the issue isn't whether someone recites a prayer. The issue is whether we let that prayer be turned into a weapon. If we care about democracy, if we care about freedom or belief, then we need to call out the flag and cross spectacle for what it is: religious theater in service of power. All right, I'm Mike Smithgall, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you have a question for me or any of our guests, make sure you drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, and do me a favor. Like and subscribe. That really helps us out, and it helps us bring you more conversations from beyond belief. And in the meantime, take care, and remember, reason and compassion go a very long way.